He'll fling it. Oh! That's going to count!
No, I wasn't expecting him to have the success that he had, but it was a very nice surprise.
Connor's been paying attention, watching film, talking to guys.
Anybody inquire about that number 2 pick?
We need contributions from other people.
Who else has got to step up?
Sometimes you do some things to change some things up to get to a different spark.
Who do you think is the number 1 player?
Rice, crossfield, 2-point try, Class, he's got it again. His third 2-pointer today. 14-12, Atlanta now by 2.
Are you serious?
What is up? Happy Wednesday. It's time for MLL Press Pass. She is Jesse Cofield. I'm Travis Eldridge. Jesse, big week in Major League Lacrosse, including from Deemer Class.
Yeah, he had a kind of a good weekend, I guess you could say.
Weekend.
Maybe, yeah.
9 points. We'll start with that team home to the best sharpshooter this side of the Mississippi, at least for this week. We bring in Blaze coach Liam Banks. Coach, how about Deemer Class, man? 3 2-point goals. He ties the MLL single game record. We talked about him last week, and you were happy, but what on earth got into him in the second half?
You know, I think the first half of the game, I don't think Deemer was too pleased with the way he played. If you look at the tape, kind of throwing the ball away once or twice, not hitting his shots, and he came out on fire in the second half. You know, I want him to be confident. He's a professional lacrosse player. As I've said many times, you know, he's a 30-goal scorer in this league, if not plus. You know, should be an all-star midfielder. So I want him to have the confidence to shoot the ball and challenge these goalies and stretch the defense. And he played great in the second half of last week's game.
Another guy who played pretty well for you, Matt Gibson. He had 4 goals against his former team. What did you like about the way he was playing out there?
You know, his job is to bury the ball. So he's very active off ball, which helps maintain one of the slides. So it kind of confuses teams in his slide package. And then he finished the ball inside against his former team. Would have liked him to have 3 goals and pull that last goal out and run out the clock. But we did get away with it and wound up coming away with the victory.
Now, Coach, Chris Madelon has started the last couple of games for you guys, starting even over Adam Gittleman there with Gittleman on the sideline. What did you like from his performance, and is he a guy who's solidified himself as the starter for you guys for the time being?
Yeah, I mean, first, just talking about last week, I think I mentioned it on Press Pass. You know, I think we have a competitive edge with Madelon in the goal against New York. He had played in New York before, not necessarily had an opportunity because there's an all-world goalie there and Drew Adams, and we thought that he was going to be prepared and ready, knows the shooters from New York, and he did a really nice job of leading us. Where we go from here, you know, I'm just not sure, not ready to make an answer on that. What I do know is that we do have 2 all-star level goalies, which is a nice luxury to have. So we'll look to utilize both of them throughout the course of the season, but, you know, not necessarily in a position to name one of them our starter, one of them not our starter, because I do feel like we have 2 starting goalies at this point, which we're extremely excited about.
Now, you guys went into the half trailing 8-3. Then you said something. Deemer Class goes off for you guys in the third. I want to know, 1, what did you say to the guys at halftime? And 2, how do you get that kind of production out of people from the first whistle?
Yeah, I mean, you know, coming off the first whistle, we've tried to concentrate on that, and we haven't gotten off to the starts that we need to get off to. And we are a young team still, and I understand that. And, you know, at halftime, you can go one or two ways about things. You can go in there and you can scream and yell and you know, call guys out, and wasn't really our approach. We kind of just said, settle down. We're all professionals here. It's 5 goals. It's Major League Lacrosse, but we do want the best version of yourself in the second half. And Deemer really took heart to that, and you know, scored his first one, scored his second one. I told him, I said, listen, man, Kentucky Derby Day, you're our guy, you're our thoroughbred, and he rose to the occasion. So I was excited to see that, and you know, New York is excellent team, and they're excellent defensively, and we needed a guy like Deemer to pop some from 3 from 2-point land to kind of give us some confidence in the second half, and we rode that horse for the rest of the day.
When you talk about a guy in Kevin Rice who has been really good when he's been healthy in this league for this team, didn't score a goal against the Lizards, but hands out 3 assists. What kind of role does his position continue to evolve into in this offense as you added in Gibson and Palasek to the attack unit?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed working with Kevin thus far. You know, being an ex-attackman, a former ex-attackman myself, I'm trying to talk with him a little bit about more of the responsibilities of not just being the goal scorer, but distributing the ball. And that doesn't necessarily mean assist. That means hockey assist. And he'll have his time. He'll beat his guys. He'll have his games where he's got 5, 6, 7 goals. But more importantly to me is that he's helping be the engine behind our offense. And that's what I'm looking for out of an ex-attackman. I think all ex-attackmen should be. So it's not necessarily how many goals you score. Getting some assist is always a nice thing, but setting up those other guys and New York paid a lot of attention to Kevin. They pushed out on him. Matt Landis, excellent defenseman out there. So, I think if you talk to Kevin today, he'd tell you he wasn't extremely pleased with the way he played. But hopefully that'll light a little fire for this upcoming weekend. But in terms of being a control X guy for us and a captain, I think he's done a really nice job thus far.
On the defensive end, Liam Burns, he led the way for you guys with 6 ground balls. How important are those 50-50 balls when you guys are trying to get some of those transition goals moving?
Yeah, we got to be able to get the ball up and out. First time out, you should be able to clear the ball at a 98 to 99% rate within Major League Lacrosse. But we also have to get out and run. It's hard to score in 6-on-6 in this league, as many people know. So if you can get some transition goals, it's to your advantage. In the second half, we knew that Long Island or New York had played on Thursday, and we thought in the second half, if we ran a bit, we may be able to get some tired legs. And in the first half, they were extremely, extremely sharp. And in the second half, we were able to kind of claw back in with getting a couple transition goals and getting ourselves going.
All right, Coach, before we let you go, can we get some Final Four predictions here?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. First team I'd like to see in the Final Four is my alma mater. So I'm always going to say you always got a chance with Syracuse, tough road with Cornell. Probably think that game should have been up at Cornell. I think that they earned that, but they're coming to Carrier Dome on Sunday night, and then you get to play against Maryland. So, I'd like to see Syracuse in the Final Four. Some other teams that I think are hot right now. If you look at Denver, I don't think that they played the best lacrosse towards the end of the year, but when you get Trevor Baptiste and the best face-off man and two of the best coaches in the country, and Matt Brown and Bill Tierney, I think they got a pretty good shot to be there. John Danowski is obviously one of the best coaches in the field. But one team I'd like to see go on a run here would be Loyola. We'd like to see them get back to the Final Four, like the pieces they have. Really enjoy watching Pat Spencer play. I think he's an excellent player, Foster Huggins. So getting the Hounds back in for my boy Rat, and maybe getting the Orange back in the Final Four would be a nice thing. But it's amazing, the parity in lacrosse these days. It's a great thing that we're getting teams from all different walks of life and not just the normal teams in this tournament. And would love to see it extended to 24 teams at some point, and maybe push that conference tournament championship up a little bit to give some other teams some exposure, especially as we continue to grow out west.
Man, who needs our analysts here? We just got Liam Banks, who's going to break down the college game for us. Coach, we appreciate the time. Good luck here this weekend.
Hey, thanks so much. Have a great week.
Coming up here on MLL Press Pass, Cannons coach Sean Quirk joining us. Close, but no cigar for Boston last weekend. There were some bright spots, though. We'll tell you about those.
Plus, we'll talk about the hottest team in the league, the only unbeaten team, the Charlotte Hounds, how they got to 4-0 this weekend.
Sometimes you do some things to change some things up to get a different spark.
He kind of has been paying attention, watching film, talking to guys.
Yeah, whoever got hit with that shot will be feeling that one tomorrow. Oh, backhand score. Pennell coming out from behind the cage. His 6th goal of the day. If I'm the Boston Cannons, I would keep feeding James Pennell.
So James Pennell was good. Dallas, though, just a little better. The Rattlers spoiling that Cannons home opener on Saturday night. We now welcome in Coach Sean Quirk. Coach, better effort for you guys last week, and now you're wheeling and dealing for us midweek. You guys just traded for Larkin Kemp from Denver. You send Kyler Balestri out to the Outlaws. What did you guys see in that deal, and what does Larkin Kemp bring to your team?
Yeah, certainly a tough decision to make. Kyler, the past 3 seasons, has, he's given us so much for the Boston Cannons, and just a real class act. We have 3 really similar attackmen at that spot with him, Dave Yamala, and James Pennell. And we thought we could use, somebody like Larkin Kemp, who we've seen play quite a bit, certainly at Brown and then in the MLL, that can play great defense. He can really help our transition game. So we're certainly excited to get him, and then also a third-round collegiate draft pick in 2019. So.
Well, Coach, as Travis mentioned, better effort this week for you guys. What did you see defensively with welcoming back starting goalie Tyler Fiorito?
Yeah, we got some guys back on that end of the field. Certainly Tyler, he played an excellent game, played really well in the cage and got our offense going with his clearing ability, and certainly having Brody Merrill back at the LSM position, gave us a little extra pump. Really that first quarter, we just got down in a hole because we weren't taking care of the ball on both ends of the field, and really spotted them some early goals. And then as our engine got going, we felt good about what we were doing. The guys were playing hard. And, I think it was one of those things where Dallas certainly played a really good game. And we just need to put that 4 quarters together. But the effort was there. The guys battled. They played really hard. And we're super proud of them for that. No doubt about it.
Speaking of guy who has battled back, Joe Nardella came back for the first time coming off that ACL tear last season. He goes 65% against Drew Simoneau, who's one of the better face-off guys in this league. What did you see from Joe in his first game back, coming back from injury?
Yeah, I've said it before. Joe really worked with our training staff so close, and to Joe's credit, he just went into that game healthy as he possibly could be and mentally dialed in. You never know, particularly when a player comes back with an ACL injury like that, how their mindset is going to be. And Joe was just so dialed in. He's a special man, and certainly, like you said, one of the top face-off guys in the game, in the world. We're really fortunate enough to have him and back healthy.
Now, Coach, the scoring really spread out for you guys, and in the last 2 quarters, you outscored Dallas 8-4. In games like this, when you look back on the weekend, what do you need to do to get your guys out there not digging themselves out of a hole, but rather coming out and getting that scoring output in the first 2?
Yeah, as our group there is really coming together and playing more and more together, certainly in practice, but our body of work is what it is at this point, 3 games in. I think they're starting to gel. I think they're really starting to trust each other on both ends of the field, particularly that offensive end, because we do have some new guys, at attacking in the midfield compared to last year. So I think it's, certainly a work in progress, and we really want to try to keep that lineup as consistent as we can so they can continue to gel moving forward. So definitely some bright spots there. You'd obviously much rather win that game than lose it, but we are taking some positives out of it going into Florida tomorrow night.
When you look at the lineup, there will be some changes as you have some college guys that'll be eligible to come into this lineup for you, one of which is Will Sands from Bucknell. Bison not in the tournament, which is good news for you guys. Any idea when we may see Will in your lineup in that attack unit?
Yeah, we've been speaking of Will since Sunday when Bucknell, unfortunately for them, did not get into the tournament. So we're hoping to get him back in the next couple games, hopefully.
All right.
But he's a player that certainly can initiate. He's got great feeding ability, and that's something that we certainly will help that offense go.
And so finally, you've got 2 games here, starting with this game here tomorrow night on the road. With where you guys are at this point of the season, how important is this 2-game stretch over the course of this weekend?
As we know in this league, every game is so critical, especially these early games, certainly going into it. And when we have a doubleheader, if you will, those are critical. Where we are right now with our rank and our record, certainly we're just focused on that Florida game, getting that one, and then heading back to Boston for another home game. So we're excited to be together, for a lengthy period of time now, if you call it that, in the MLL, together as a team. And we certainly got our work cut out for us, playing some great teams. Every team in this league is really good. week in and week out. So we're super excited about, getting back after it.
All right, Coach, we appreciate the time. As always, safe travels.
All right. Thank you so much.
And you can see the Cannons right back in action here tomorrow night. Boston hitting the road to play the Florida here tomorrow. Game time, though, for Atlanta coming up on Saturday. The back end of that doubleheader coming up 6 p.m. Eastern time, only here on Lax Sports Network.
Coming up next, though, we're going to talk with Coach Jim Stagnita of the Hounds, how Charlotte won 2 games in 3 days to stay unbeaten in Week 3.
Plus, what's Chesapeake seeing from Miles Jones? We'll talk Bayhawks coming up.
Some things have changed some things up to get to a different spark.
He kind of been paying attention, watching film, talking to guys.
Rambo, tough catch, still goes to goal and scores.
Jumping up, face dodging a bad approach, diving, throwing it right over the shoulder of Nico Amato. Called him Air Rambo last weekend for his diving goal here.
And it was a good weekend to be a Hound. Charlotte held off Chesapeake on Thursday and then going to Ohio and beating the defending champion Machine on Saturday night. We now welcome in Hounds coach Jim Stagnita. Coach, you couldn't have asked for a better start here, sitting at 4-0. How impressed are you with what your guys have been able to put together here?
It's been amazing. They've really, the effort they've put in just to get to some of these games, considering what their schedules are and their responsibilities, a number of these guys as coaches. And then once they're there, what they've done is even more impressive. I mean, we've grounded out. We found a way to win games. We've picked up the big ground balls. We've played really strong fourth quarters. And I don't think the confidence has ever wavered, despite what the lineup is or has been, and it's been completely different in every game. So, to think that these guys have been able to accomplish what they have at this point was, it certainly is way beyond what our expectations were.
Now, Coach, Matt Rambo and Dylan Maltz, they've sort of been showing off that chemistry that they molded in college. Now that you've seen what they can do together on the field, what are you thinking in terms of opportunities for the two of them, and what have you liked about the way they've been playing together so far?
Well, for Dylan, to be perfectly honest, it's not just chemistry. He's a hell of a lacrosse player. He has a great IQ. He scored goals. Everyone thought of him as an off-ball guy, which we did also. He scored goals carrying the ball. He's done. He's had assists. He's brought a lot to the table for us, and it certainly doesn't hurt that he's played with Matt before. And when he came in as a guy filling a spot on the lineup or on the roster, to where he is, he's made a roster and is going to stay on a roster that, once everybody's available, is unbelievably deep on the offensive end. So he is truly won himself a position on our team in that official roster.
Yeah, we learned also here last week that from Mike Serino that Matt Rambo also got that assistant GM title for getting you guys Dylan Maltz. That's a nice that advocation by Rambo worked out pretty well for you guys offensively. Speaking of this offense, in the midfield, you bring in John Haas this week as you got him in the lineup. Mike Chanenchuk now looks like he'll be available moving forward for you guys. How does the offense continue to evolve as you get some of those midfielder key spot positions back, and then you mix them in with what Rambo and Maltz have done on the offensive end at the attack unit?
Well, two things. Let's not give Matt too much credit. He called me on a Sunday afternoon from a bar in College Park, so I could have just ignored it and not picked it up, but we still have great leaders coming in. We have Kevin Crowley coming back, and John Crowley only played in one game so far. Kevin hasn't played. So we have experience. We have some flexibility now. So we'll never be in a situation again where we have to have to add pieces that have never played in an MLL game, much less played with the Hounds. And our guys have been, one of the things that we've done a really good job of, and it gets back to what we did 2 years ago when I first came into the Hounds, is our guys have shared the ball. They're very unselfish. It's about, just getting the goal, not who gets the goal. And a lot of our goals, have been assisted. So I feel like, when we continue to add those other pieces, it won't disrupt us. It should just, make us better on that end. And the guy nobody's talked about is, and they didn't even mention it in the game last week. James Barclay came in from Providence, who was, I believe, our 7th round pick. Had one practice with us, started, and did a phenomenal job covering, Canizero, who is, a really talented attackman and has great, quickness and change of direction. And this kid came in and just, gave us an unbelievable game. We're really excited about adding him to the lineup, too.
Now, I want to talk about the faceoff X. Kevin Massett, against Ohio, he sort of returned to that form that we saw at the beginning of the year against the Cannons. He went 15 for 21 in that game against Ohio. How do you keep him on his game, consistently winning that many faceoffs?
Well, I think you guys understand. You've seen enough of this stuff. I mean, face-offs a lot of times just depend on how you match up with somebody. And those 2 games, that he was he won the face-offs. It was a good matchup for him. But at the same time, he actually won more face-offs against initial draws against the Bayhawks than it shows. We just we didn't pick up some ground balls. So he's been tough. He's not a pretty face-off guy. He battles it out, and playing Thursday, Saturday, and coming back and doing what he did on Saturday is, again, that's what we're getting from our guys right now, and that's why we've been successful.
Finally, quickly, you split goalies between Charlie Cipriano and James Bassett here in the 2 games of the weekend. What kind of luxury is it to have that kind of goalie play from 2 different guys in one weekend?
Our guys didn't bat an eye. Usually what you would consider your second goalie comes in, and it disrupts people. And there's so much confidence in Pierce, and we were lucky to be able to do it because last year Sip played 3 games in 6 days and was never the same the rest of the year physically. A lot of confidence. Pierce has been a big part of this. He prepares every game like he's a starter. We don't think twice about using him when we need him, and we know he's always going to be prepared. So it's a luxury to have someone like him.
Yeah, Pierce Bassett. Excuse me. Don't hurt me, Pierce. Terrific game for him as he got you guys a win in Ohio. Coach, we appreciate the time. Good luck here this week.
Thanks, guys.
Coming up next, we'll coddle you for a second.
Oh.
Yeah, chatting with Bayhawks coach Dave Cottle. What he's taking away from that 1-goal loss to the Hounds.
Plus, Jordan Wolf continued his stellar play with 6 points on Saturday. We'll talk to Rattlers coach Bill Warder about his start to the year.
Sometimes you do some things to change some things up to get a different spark.
Econ has been paying attention, watching film, talking to guys.
Out to Jones, thought about the 2-pointer, instead feeds the crease in. Diving in to make the score, Ryan Tucker.
What a great heads-up play. Miles Jones sees 3 defenders fly out, throws the ball to Tucker, who has a tremendous face dodge, and finishes with the diving goal.
Travis Eldridge, Jesse Cofield back with you here on Press Pass. It ended up not being enough for Chesapeake and Charlotte on Friday, so the Bayhawks finding themselves at 1-2 through 3 weeks. We welcome in Coach Dave Cottle now. Coach, that 2-pointer late seemed to be kind of the backbreaker for you guys. How did you see that game Thursday pan out in your mind?
Well, quite honestly, I thought we played hard enough to win. I didn't think we played well enough to win. We 20 turnovers, and if we're going to be successful in this league, we're going to have around 10. And so by having 20, we, with our domination of the face-off, we gave back the 18 face-off wins plus 2. And we just got to be a little better than that. And but I will say our guys played with great energy, great enthusiasm, and quite honestly, we played hard enough to win. We just didn't play well enough.
Coach, you mentioned that after the game, you mentioned that you felt your team isn't refined offensively right now. But like you said, you guys are playing really hard. So what do you have to do to utilize the tools that you have right now?
Well, again, I think we have to take advantage of the face-offs, which we've been dominating a little bit. I think we have to. Our attack play last week was not as good as it needs to be in this league. I think we had 2 attackmen combined that had 0 goals, 0 assists, and 8 turnovers. And so in this league, you've got to finish your opportunities when you get them, and you can't really turn the ball over. And hopefully, the addition of Josh Byrne will improve our attack. And, we're waiting on these righties, Steele Stanwyck and Matt Danowski, some of these guys to return. So we've got to find a way to be successful with who we have. We are doing it through great effort. Now we have to do it through great execution.
So you bring up Josh Byrne. Obviously, his indoor season has come to a close. You also look at some of the guys that you drafted, like Ian McKay, who may be available at some point. What new faces may we see in the lineup here this weekend?
Well, you're definitely going to see Josh, and we've activated Sean Mail. Games in Denver, and then we're trying to decide whether to activate Ian McKay right now. And so a lot will do depending on what attackman can make it with what right-handed attackman can make the event. So, we've got John Maloney back from coaching in college, so he'll help us between the lines. So I just think we're a good team. We're not a great team, and now we've got to find a way to get this game.
Coach, Brian Fitz and Nico Amato splitting time again for you. You've said before that you feel like you have 2 starting goalies, and we're probably going to see you continuing to split time between them. Do you like doing it in the same game, or do you think we might see you starting one guy and letting him play a whole game, et cetera?
I think a little bit of both. I agree with you there. I think you'll see Nico play this week. Brian got his shoulder nicked up, and we're trying to make a decision how hurt he is. We'll know by the end of the day. But Nico will wind up starting this game, and again, it determines how Brian feels. But right now, Nico will start.
So let's talk about the midfield. And Miles Jones has been relatively quiet early on, but he goes off for 5 assists here this week. Is that the type of role and distribution you'd like to see from him in the midfield unit?
I thought Miles played his best game of the year by far. I think not only for me last year Miles led the league in turnovers, and we're trying to get him. He's got such good vision. He's so unselfish. But we just wanted him to be productive. And I thought he was extremely productive and extremely competitive, and he's always extremely unselfish. So overall, I thought he got back in the hole. I thought he played defense. I texted him that I thought it was his best game by far, and maybe one of his best games he's ever played as a Big Hawk this week.
Robert Maddox, he did pretty well for you, adding a couple G's of his own. He's a rookie. What do you like about how he's fitting into your offense this year?
Well, Robbie's a guy who can really shoot it. He was I saw him play in high school. He wound up going to Gettysburg, and to be quite honest with you, I thought he had the talent to be a Division I player. And he can shoot it with anybody in the league. We just need to get a little bit more complete play from our attack unit. I think we're making some changes this week that may help us there. But I thought Robbie, did all he could be asked coming off the practice squad, having 3 goals.
All right, finally, Coach, you got some Final Four predictions for us?
It's interesting. I'm not sure the tournament where it got seeded was probably, I'd agree with 100%. But you look at that Denver-Notre Dame game, they played, they've already played 6 times. These senior classes have played 6 times, and the record is Denver 5, Notre Dame 1. So that's a game that, could be possibly an upset. I look at that. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody below the top 3 won the title, because they're, all of the teams have their flaws, and the ones that can strengthen those weaknesses before the end of the year, have a chance. But I can't give you any winner right now.
All right. We figured we'd try to put you on the spot. Coach, we always appreciate the time. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you guys for everything.
Coming up, we'll shake things out with the Rattlers, who are slithering their way toward the top of the league after a win in Boston.
Plus, from a 5-goal game on Friday to a shutout on Sunday, what happened to Matt Cavanaugh for Denver? We'll ask Coach B.J. O'Hara.
Sometimes you do some things to change some things up to get a different spark.
He kind of has been paying attention, watching film, talking to guys.
so look to really wind down a guy.
Near down the goal line on a backhand, able to beat Fiorito and make it 2-0 Dallas.
The Rattlers identify that they have a great matchup with Jack Neer on an offensive midi, and he is able to jump across crease. You can do that in the MLL with a backhanded finish.
Jack Neer having a goal that went relatively far for Dallas, helping the Rattlers get to 3-1 on the season. We bring in Rats coach Bill Warder. Coach, let's start with Jordan Wolf because he is spectacular. What is it like coaching when you've got a guy like that on your side?
Well, I mean, it just gives you so many options from a personal standpoint. He can, dodge, feed, get ground balls, ride. He's just a great team leader, awesome locker room guy. I mean, if you were to build a player from scratch, it's that's the guy you build. He just works hard and just gutsy team player. And I mean, it's easy to go into huddle and you're trying to figure out how we're going to get a goal. And sometimes the simplest answer is, hey, give it to that guy and, see what he can do.
Another guy you would probably be able to tab as that guy, Ty Thompson, doing it for you guys as well. What do you like about the way he's playing offensively and how he's working off Jordan Wolf?
Well, Ty and Jordan over the years have had some pretty good synergy. And, Ty is one of those, he just is so smooth off the ball. He finds the pockets. He, just a savvy veteran player. He scored a lot of goals for us over the years. A couple game winners. If you look back last year, he had a game winner in Ohio last year, early in the season. I think he's got 2 game winners this year. Ty is, one of the most unselfish, maximizes his touches sort of guy. He, the ball's in a stick. It's usually in the back of the net. So he's a guy that if you give him a little bit of space, he can be very dangerous.
I don't think there's any question that John Galloway is the guy in net for you guys. But Blaze Reardon, in times when Galloway hasn't been available, has been really good for you. How important has Blaze's performances been in this early part of the season with Galloway out? And then as you look forward to this summer when John will obviously be representing Team USA?
Well, I think, if you look at a team, team mentality, we've had some injuries over the years and, we have guys missing over the years, and to have a player like Blaze who, again, knows his role and understands that, when he's in there, he's expected to, play the best of his ability, lead the defense, win the game. And with Johnny, Johnny's obviously the Team USA goalie, one of the best goalies to ever suit up in the MLL, in my opinion. And I mean, the two of them are, great partners, great teammates. And I mean, it's just it's like a pitching combo. When you look at some of those baseball teams, when you have, a couple, exceptional starting pitchers, we're very, very lucky that we have, who I feel the best goalie in the world, John Galloway, and, probably the second best goalie in the world, the way, and in my opinion as well, is Blaze Reardon.
Well, they've come in handy this year because this win marks the 3rd game for you guys that's been decided by 1 goal. What is the mental toughness of your guys like, and what's the message when you're in those moments where it's coming down to the wire?
I think, going back the last couple of years, we've had so many 1-goal games, and these guys have been on that train. And, last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we've been able to close out a lot of those 1-goal games. And, when you're in those moments a lot, it's you get comfortable in those moments. And, one of the things we said going into that Denver game, I said, guys, it's okay. Let's get comfortable in being uncomfortable, that nothing's going to be easy. Stuff's going to happen you can't control, and, worry about what we control, the energy, and, playing for 60 minutes. And the guys, I mean, that really fits the mentality of our locker room. The guys just, embrace the moment and, don't look at the scoreboard, don't look at the other team. And we try and play to a standard. I think that's something that, Pseudo instilled, Coach Monty talks about, we talk about all the time, is, playing to a standard, regardless of who's in the lineup. There's a Rattler standard that we're trying to play to. And and we try and maintain that. And that's, it's not a next one up mentality, but it's just let's play to a standard, not to the number on the jersey.
One of the guys that you guys actually picked up last year, didn't find his way into your lineup until this season, is Cody Radzewicz coming out of Hopkins. He had a breakout game for you guys against Boston. What have you seen from him as he's kind of getting his feet wet in this league?
Cody is, he made a play the other night against Boston, and I turned to Coach Monty. I said, he's a coach, and he coaches at Lemoyne, and he's such a lacrosse IQ is off the charts, and he's always going to make the right play at the right time. We've asked him to dodge, we've asked him to set picks, we've asked him to feed, we've asked him to play defense, get the hole, play on the wing, and we had a big moment the other night, and we're going into the huddle, and we needed to clear the ball. And we get the huddle, and it wasn't even a hesitation of who's going to get the ball in their stick. I said, Cody, you got the ball. We're going to spread wide. We're going to go into diamond here, and take a look, run it out. I said, if they have two on you, you run it out, and just make the right play. And it wasn't even. It's hard to ask of a lot of veteran guys, but our confidence level in him. You walk away from the huddle, and you're like, okay, we got to clear, and we're going to get our offense set. He's going to make the smart play. He's just such a high IQ, lacrosse IQ, and just happy. Great to be around. Super positive. It was a home run for us.
Finally, before we let you go, you got some Final Four picks for us?
Well, I'm kind of. This is tough because you want the guys you drafted to do well, but at the same time you want them to be in your lineup. So it's. I think. I haven't been looking at the brackets too closely, but I think, if there's some way, I guess Cornell, Yale, Maryland, I don't even know if they can all end up in the same brackets. Those are, obviously some strong teams. If there's a way that, Hopkins could get in there, I think that'd be interesting. But again, I haven't even looked at a printable bracket. I just know that we have guys that are draft picks that can't play, and just waiting to see when those guys are available, and see what happens to the Georgia Swarm this weekend. So we wish them the best, but there's some key guys on that Swarm roster that we would certainly love to have. Joel White, and Jordan McIntosh, Randy Stotts, to name a few of those guys. So, it's hard to say. Hey, hope good luck. Hope you win. Hope you
we
lose.
wish you the best.
we wish you
really
the best.
do.
But we'd love to have you back.
It's tough. You do wish them the best, but it's hard.
Coach, we appreciate the time. Good luck here this week.
Thanks.
Coming up next on Press Pass, time for Outlaws coach B.J. O'Hara. What differences he saw from Friday's first win and then another loss on Sunday.
And Six was back in the lineup for the Florida launch. What kind of impact did Kieran McCardle have? We'll talk with Coach Tom Mariano.
Sometimes you do some things to change some things up to get a different spark.
He kind of has been paying attention, watching film, talking to guys.
Travis Eldridge, Jesse Cofield back with you here on Press Pass, taking a look at the updated standings. The Charlotte Hounds, Jesse.
4-0. Best start to the season ever for them.
A big start to the season, including 2 wins this past weekend. Then everything else very muddied as Dallas has found a way to win 3 really tight games. They're sitting in second place. Toward the bottom, you see the Denver Outlaws, just 1-3.
Pretty
3
shocking.
games back. Maybe a little bit of surprise for some people.
This is a mismatch right here. You got to take advantage of it. Dennis fires! Man, Ron, that's what we talked about with this guy, an electrifying talent. And that was a jump shot from almost 16 yards out, and he pinged it far side upper deck.
Now that is the Romar Dennis we've been used to seeing here, especially in his first year last season. A 2-game split this weekend for the Outlaws, though. They got their first win versus New York on Friday night, but then losing to Florida on Sunday. Coach B.J. O'Hara is with us now. Coach, what differences did you see between those 2 days?
We were a lot fresher on Friday than we were on Sunday, for sure. It's a tough grind. New York had to do the same thing, fly cross country, play 2 games. We actually played 3 games in a week, so our boys are a little tired on Sunday afternoon.
Coach, Matt Kavanaugh and Eric Law both held to a goal on Sunday. What happened in between Friday and Sunday for them offensively? Did they just have your number in terms of attackmen?
Well, it's again, getting back to what I just said, it was a tough go. We went hard on Friday night. They both played very well. The attackmen get beat up pretty badly, and playing 2 games in that short a span is tough. Plus, the guys they were going against, Tucker Durkin and Jared Newman, were played awfully well. So back to the drawing board.
All right, so Coach, let's talk about the news of the day. You guys traded Larkin Kemp to Boston. You get Kyler Ballistri back in return. What went into your decision to make that trade?
Well, we're still looking for that third piece at the attack. We've tried a number of guys there so far this year. We think that Kyle brings a big body, big right-hander, can really help fill that hole that we got when we traded Mike Bachla to New York. So we're hopeful that he's going to fit in really well. Larkin, we hated losing Larkin. He's a very good player, great team guy. But we have a little bit of a depth at that position, including a couple draft picks. So it gave us the luxury of making this trade. So we think it's going to be good for both groups.
You mentioned some of the draft picks. Are there any guys that you expect to be in the lineup here this weekend or very soon in here in the near future?
Well, as you know, the NCAA picks came out on Sunday, so all of a sudden a lot of guys became available. We're bringing a bunch in to work them out this weekend. A couple of them may get in the lineup. We're not sure yet, but we're definitely going to bring some guys in and have a look at them over the next couple of weeks.
Let's talk about Jack Kelly, because there's been maybe no goalie that's been better in the last 2 years in this league than him. It's been a slower start. What do you attribute that to, and what have you seen from him over these 2 games this past weekend?
Well, he's played very well. The first half in Florida, he was unbelievable. He was on his head making saves. I don't think we've played consistent defense for him yet. When we're settled down, we're pretty good, but the transition piece is letting us down right now. The team seem to be getting through us and onto our goalie quickly, so we got to really work on that. But all in all, we think Jack's playing very, very well.
Tom Kelly at the X, in both of those games, winning over 60% for you guys. What do you like about how he's playing, and how do you translate some of those wins into transition goals?
Yeah, Tom's, he's become one of the very best in the world at facing off. We don't always do as good a job helping him on the wings as I'd like, but that's coming together. Our percentages are going up. Tommy, his move isn't necessarily a forward move that often, so that minimizes those opportunities for fast breaks right off the face-off. But we've created some stuff from the wings, and I know we'll continue to do so.
Coach, I know it's early here, and we saw you do it a couple years ago where you went and ran the table, went on to win a championship, but you have Chesapeake coming in here on Sunday. Seems like an important game for you guys as you get back at home for the second time. Is this one maybe a little bit more important early on the season than maybe you're used to?
Oh, yeah, we certainly the way we finished the game, they get back a good performance. You don't want to fall too far behind. Everybody's still within reach of each other, but you don't want to be the one falling way behind everyone and then have to go on a 8-game winning streak like we did a couple years ago. You can't count on that. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's a nice luxury when you do it, but you don't want to depend on it. Coach, we appreciate the time. Good luck this weekend.
You bet. Thanks, guys.
Next up for the Outlaws, that date with Chesapeake in the Mile High City on Sunday. Game time set for 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Pre-game coverage starting at 4:30, only here on LAC Sports Network.
Next on MLL Press Pass, the Launch landed a big win on Sunday at home. We'll chat with Coach Tom Mariano about his 2-1 Florida team.
Plus 2 games, 2 losses for the Lizards. What's going on with New York? We'll try to find out coming up.
Sometimes you do some things to change some things up to get a different spark.
He kind of has been paying attention, watching film, talking to guys.
Nah, he's got a short on him. He's going to want to keep this matchup.
He sees the mismatch.
Yep.
And he took advantage of it. The goal for Dylan Malloy. Beautiful goal here from Dylan Malloy.
And we roll on here on Press Pass. Jesse Cofield and Travis Eldridge back with you. The Launch sitting at 2-1, once again in the top half of the league after a win over Denver on Sunday. And we welcome in Coach Tom Mariano now. Coach, why don't we start with Austin Count, Defensive Player of the Week in the league. How impressive was his 21-save performance?
He played great. I mean, the scary part is he wasn't even the best goalie in the game. Him and Jack battling was pretty impressive, and they didn't make the simple, easy saves. I thought both of them made spectacular saves. And, I think it's something Austin's been pretty consistent for us in that regard, so we're excited to have him.
Kieran McArdle making his MLL debut for you guys. You mentioned after the game that Kieran might say he was a little bit rusty out there, but that, he's opening up lanes for guys like Dylan Malloy. Talk to me a little bit more about what Kieran McArdle's presence does for your other offensive pieces.
Well, I think, a lot of guys would be excited to have 3 goals, where I think he looks at it, I'm a little rusty. The indoor game, it's a much smaller field than what we're playing on. And I just think he's so driven and such a perfectionist in his game. But just having him out there, just watching the clips there, you see the space that's created. Do you slide? Do you not slide? It just puts the defense. And anytime defenses have to think about what they're doing, that's going to create some lanes for the offense.
So obviously, you guys made the trade for Ben Williams this past week. It just happened on Press Pass. Thanks for breaking the news for us. When you made the trade, he going up against a good faceoff guy in Tommy Kelly for Denver. Do you feel like he can get better out of Ben Williams moving forward?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's pretty clear Tommy, he's excellent. He's a master of his craft. He's playing really well right now. I thought, Benny did well against him early, kind of in the middle of the game. Tommy was getting on the whistle. Benny got some violations. But I thought Ben came up big for us in the fourth quarter and helped us, kind of get on that goal-scoring run. So we're excited, and I think, he's hungry. He wants to be better than what he performed, and he knows he can be better. And, I definitely believe he can be better.
Speaking of newcomers, Mike Tagliaferri, he recorded a hat trick for you guys. What do you like about how he's fitting into your offensive system?
I think, he's just so athletic. I think a lot of it's, him just kind of getting the ball and saying, I'm going to go to the cage and I'm going to make you stop me. And, it was a situation where it was just the right opportunities and he created the right seams. And he's just so athletic, so fast. He's very, very competitive. For a new guy, he's come into the league extremely competitive and really, wants to excel and do anything that the team asks. We're asking him to play defense, play the wings, play some offense, clear the ball. He just goes, okay, coach, I'll go do it. And that's what I love about him.
So when we talk about this offense for you guys, it's a crowded unit with a lot of youth, but Rutgers' season is over. Jules Henenberg is your first-round draft pick. Is there a chance that we could see him in the lineup here sooner rather than later?
Definitely. I mean, we had talked to him about maybe coming down and playing this week, but he had a final he had to take on Thursday, so that takes priority. He'd already moved it a couple times for the Big Ten playoffs, but it's something we've talked about. If maybe not getting him in the lineup, but certainly getting him down in the mix and getting him down to practice. We're bringing some college guys this week to see them in practice and see how they mesh and fit into the lineup and the current team we have.
After the game, Ryan Drenner, talking about your defense, he said that they did a really great job of holding the Outlaws to have to use that whole shot clock, which really helped them with transition opportunities. What do you like about how that defense is playing, and do you feel like you guys are getting a lot more transition opportunities because of their play and cause turnovers?
Well, I think, obviously the more stops you get, and the more clean stops you get, the more transition opportunities. We didn't have a ton of situations where it was kind of broken stops, where it's kind of staggered. It was either, late in the shot clock with a shot kind of where Austin can make a clean save and we can get it up and out and go. And I just think, the guys are playing well together and playing as a unit and focused on kind of being one really good unit instead of 6 strong individuals.
Coach, we understand you're in Coach Cottle's kitchen at the moment down there in Boca Raton. He kind of avoided giving us a Final Four prediction, so now we got to put you on the spot. Who you got in the Final Four?
Well, I'm too busy doing his laundry and cleaning his apartment, his house, to do any Final Four picks.
Oh, come on, nothing?
I think it's tough because I like, I've known the Yale guys forever. I'd like to see them do well, but we also have some draft picks for them. And I think, saw Billy Waters say the same thing. You want to wish these guys the best of luck, but it's a tough spot to be in. Me personally, I think that, there's so many of those teams that can be great. and could win it all. I think this is truly a year where a bunch of guys could win this, and I'm actually pretty excited to, these first round matchups are going to be a bear. Forget about the Final Four and the championship. I think this first round is going to set the tempo right off the bat.
Yeah, well, it will be fun to watch.
So again, we wish everyone the best.
Wishing everybody the best here this weekend. Coach, we appreciate the time. Good luck.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good day.
And we'll see if the launch can keep soaring with a visit from the Cannons coming up tomorrow night. First of 2 games in the weekend for Boston. Game time set for 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Our pregame starts at 6:30 right here on Lac Sports Network.
But still to come here, the Lizards looked good in the first half, but couldn't finish the job on Sunday. We're going to ask Coach Joe Spallina what went wrong.
Plus, after scoring 11 goals in the opener, Marcus Holman shut out for Ohio. How the machine will look to adjust.
Sometimes you do some things to change some things up to get a different spark.
Connor's been paying attention, watching film, talking to guys.
Manny, shot clock, he looks, it's at 5. And he goes in and scores. Will Manny.
You know his option is to go to the net and to go hard.
Well, New York looked good in the first half against Atlanta, but the Blaze able to take that one back in the second. We now welcome in head coach Joe Spallina for New York on the phone. Joe, and 2 games and 2 losses for you guys this weekend. As I mentioned, that first half against Atlanta looked good. What happened there in the second half other than Deemer Class just getting unconscious?
Well, we were happy with the way we played the first half, but I also, I even said at the halftime, there was a little bit of fool's gold there because Atlanta had hit 3 pipes. So, the score could have definitely have been different. But, if you look at, one of the things that makes the MLL great, or in this week for us makes it not great, is, what the 2-point shot brings to the game. Because, as far as goals scored, we outscored Atlanta, but they wound up having those 3 2-pointers that gave them, 3 extra goals, which was enough for them to win the game. So, we took some penalties, so they had a couple, looks where they got to play on their power play and get good open looks with the 2-pointers.
Coach, defensively, you gave up 16 goals both times this weekend. You got Matt Landis back in there defensively. What are you trying to figure out at that end of the field?
Well, you look at it, like you take away the 3-point, we defended the ball really well. They scored a bunch of power play goals. If you look at the job Landis did on Kevin, Kevin Rice was a complete non-factor. He had a couple apples, but for the most part, and then the job Fletcher did on Palasek. Palasek had 1 assist in the game, and it was with 5 seconds to go actually in the game in an empty net goal, which was interesting that the Blaze chose to shoot that because it gave us an opportunity to try to get another shot. Because they scored that empty net goal, which was the extra goal. For us, we're now, I think the big thing is, when we got our guys now. Landis is back, and him and Fletcher give us something that not a lot of teams have, and something we've really have needed is 2 number 1 defensemen. If you look at the game, you watch the film of Landis, 1 game, 9 months out of ACL surgery, the way he covered the ball, the great team defender is, the way he plays with a bite. We're excited about that. And, we lost to Napoli this weekend, which hurts us, from the short stick spot. So we have some things we still need to figure out, in that part. We're better at the face-off. So, we have to, we're doing good things. I think the biggest thing is, we need to handle other team, a punch better. I feel like we get hit and it takes a little while to throw back, and we got to do a better job of responding.
Rob Pannell, a guy who has come up huge for you so many times, not letting this team die in moments where you're having scoring droughts. When you look at him as a player and what he's doing for you moving forward this season as teams start to focus more on him as an offensive threat, how do you utilize the other threats you have on offense?
I think the biggest thing is playing simple. I know it sounds really, we really need to with the amount of talent we have, and we're sending out 1 through 6, and every team has, it really comes down to the MLL comes down to one thing. It's not, we're not supremely talented over everyone else. Everyone's talented. The teams that move the ball, the best, share the ball, and make high-end decisions are going to win games in this league. That's the margin of error in this league. It comes down to a play here or a play there. So I think it comes down to us playing selfless lacrosse and getting everybody involved and attacking defenses with 6 players, not just 1 or 2.
Drew Adams is struggling a little bit for you guys in that second game. In the first game, he actually ended up getting that foul with about 6 seconds left. In the second, he saved just 12 goals for you. Defensively, do you feel like you guys are playing as a unit? Or, I know last year we talked a little bit about how the defense at times felt a little more man-to-man and less unit-oriented.
Yeah, I think we're improving there. I think, like I said earlier, adding Matt Landis and just what he does in just eliminating the other team's top attackmen is great. And that's something Fletch has done for us, too. So now when you have 2 guys that can do that, if you saw the way Florida beat us, way Atlanta beat us, it was a lot of midfield scoring. So, now it's something that we have to shore up that. That needs to be a point of emphasis because we like against our matchups against most teams when you're rolling, Fletcher and Landis or Landis and Fletcher, depending on how you want to put them, on teams top 2 guys, we think we're going to win that matchup most often. So now it's a matter of us getting a little bit better defense out of our midfield and of course, obviously getting some timely stops is going to be a big part of this as well.
Coach, we mentioned the Drew Adams play there at the end of that Denver game. What did you see from your goalie at in that position?
Yeah, I'm not. I don't like that kind of stuff. So I don't. That's not something that's out of character for Drew. Not something that I've known Drew a long time, and he was it's probably out of frustration. It's not. I don't think he was trying to. I think he swung out of frustration. I don't think he tried to hit him. I think, but like I told Drew, perception is reality, and what it looks like is what people think it is. So, if you know anything about me, I like playing physical but not found. So it's not it's something that was addressed internally. I know Drew a long time. He's never had any issues with the league, discipline wise. So I think it was probably just a boil over frustration and more of a gesture than an action.
All right, Coach. Well, we appreciate the time. Enjoy the week off. Good luck with Stony Brook. We'll catch up with you next week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Coming up, still on Press Pass, Ohio coming off its first loss of the season. We'll catch up with the defending champs when we come back.
Sometimes you do some things to change some things up to get a different spark.
Welcome back here to Press Pass. Coming your way this Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, the Ohio Machine looking to get back to their winning ways. Defending champs coming off their first loss of the season as they welcome in the Dallas Rattlers Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern, only here on Lac Sports Network.
The Hounds just winning their individual matchups, not allowing the Machine to...
And how about that effort by Ryan Ambler? My goodness, spot off the defender and leaping into the air scores the goal.
A pretty goal from Ryan Ambler, but not enough against Charlotte as the Hounds escaped, still unbeaten. Meanwhile, Ohio taking that first loss of the season. We now welcome in Coach Bear Davis. What did you notice from that game? Especially, I know Marcus Holman got shut off in parts of that game after that 11-goal performance. What kind of adjustments will you make if that's how teams approach your offense?
Yeah, I think for us, Jake Bernhardt is an incredible midfielder, and obviously we didn't have him, and that's a piece of the puzzle for us that we lean on, and you start short and double pulling our midfield. I just thought they had a really solid game plan. Coach Staggs and his group had a good game plan and a great work ethic coming in, and worked hard to get that victory. And we just got to be better, we have to react better to game plans like theirs and be a little bit more scrappy.
Coach, struggling at the face-off X during that game. What do you need to do to utilize the chances that you do have off of the X? And what are you looking to do to improve before the weekend going into your next games when you look at ways to get better there?
We're trying a couple of different things at this time. I mean, I think Earhart's obviously a very special, special pull and came up with a lot of ground balls. And, they have a good thing going there. But we have activated Kenny Massa, and he's had a stellar collegiate career. And certainly, working with him and trying to prep him for, for the MLL. And the guys come up with a lot of ground balls. So, him relying as much on his wings and his history of being a face-off guy has been minimal. And that's something that we have found guys in this league have great success when they don't have to rely on their wings as much. So looking forward to seeing what he can bring to the table.
I know Tom Schreiber had maybe a little bit of a scare toward the end of that game against Charlotte. He's all good to go, correct?
When you have an injury such that, Tom has, obviously your body's going to try to make up for it in other ways. And you're going to get weak in certain spots. And I think that's more what we're looking at is him trying to get to full strength. And, we're working day by day with him on where he feels. And, I think you haven't seen him at 100% yet. And we got to figure out, the best way to get him there.
To start off the fourth, Connor Cannizzaro getting that goal to put you guys in the lead, but then the Hounds rattling off 5 straight. In a situation like that, how do you stop the bleeding when you look at it in retrospect?
Well, this whole league is a game of runs. We've been saying that. I think every coach has been saying that. It's more like basketball in that sense, and who can get the last run, and they did. And when we had some failed clears that led to goals, and you're not winning faceoffs. Like you're not manipulating the possessions. We had about 7 minutes of total possession time in the second half. Our offense is highly proficient, but given that we didn't really see the ball, we had the ball probably 3 minutes in the fourth quarter. I think we figured up. It's tough. It's tough. That's a tough go, and that's not that's not on one end of the ball or the other. It's a whole team. It's a whole team schematic thing. We just need to get better. Gotta make sure we're clearing efficiently. We're picking up ground balls. I mean, make sure we're winning faceoffs. The whole. Any way we can manipulate a possession.
Coach, you finish off a 3-game homestand to start the year coming up this Saturday. How important is this one against Dallas, knowing it'll be your last home game for a little bit there at Fortress Obats?
No, I don't know if I think they're all important. I mean, when you're only playing 14 games in a season, and you look at, especially like you look at 2 years ago where we had, a slew of teams at 8-6, and I mean, you got an 8-6 team that's the number 1 seed, and you got an 8-6 team that's sitting at home watching playoffs. So, the goal differential, the early season wins, all, for that matter, all the wins, they all have a pretty massive value. It's not like baseball or hockey or basketball where you just have if you slip for 2 or 3 games, you're probably going to be okay. I don't know if that's the case, but we have seen several teams that have started out one that we've done it before where we started off with the losing record 3-4 and went on a run. Obviously, a couple years ago with Denver did a tremendous job. I think Ellison, as well as everybody else, were counting them for dead in the water, and all the way to the end, they scrapped to win the championship. So, just proving that that you're never out really until mathematically you're out.
How about Kyle Harrison? He had 5 points in the opener, another 2 goals for you here this weekend. He continues to seem like he goes up in age, but it continues to seem like his game does not change. What have you seen from him now, completely healthy this year?
Yeah, that's it. Well, you just hit it right on the head there. Kyle had a nagging injury, with that ankle, and then last year he had the surgery, and I think when he came back, it wasn't 100%. And he says, he feels about where he did in 2014 right now, and that for a 35-year-old guy, and for him to say he feels like he did 4 or 5 years ago, I think that says a lot for his training and his dedication to his game and to his team. Tremendous leader, and fought through a pretty devastating injury last year, and worked his tail off to get to where he's at. And I think that's one more notch to throw mad respect at the guy.
Finally, we only got about 30 seconds, so keep it quick. You got a Final Four prediction for us?
I do. I kind of feel like I want to go Yale, Albany, and Duke. Unfortunately, I'd like to see Duke get upset for one particular reason.
Yep.
And then if the Terps get by my Colonials, which is going to be a tall task, then I see a Terps. So.
There you go. He gave us a straight answer. Only took us to the very end.
Thank you, Coach.
We appreciate it, Coach. Good luck to Bobby Moe here this week. I know you're a former coach. You're excited to see them in the tournament. We appreciate the time, and thank you for watching MLL Press Pass. See you next week.